Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to the latest in the Polar Routes Inspiration series. My name is Martin Johnson. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the co-founder and director of Polar Routes. We have got a really interesting evening lined up for our latest Polar Routes Inspiration series. It's all about Greenland tonight, and we're going to have our special guest come on in a few minutes with a great presentation all about Greenland. That's what we're going to be discussing today. So nice to see so many of you joining us, some new faces as well. So a very warm welcome if you haven't joined us before, if you're either new to the Polar Routes Inspiration series or new to Polar Routes as a whole. And also great to see in the registrations, a few registrations from overseas as well. So if you're joining us over in the US or Canada, a very warm welcome to you, or a good morning, I suppose, and a very warm welcome to you as well. Right, let me just share my screen and we will talk about what is going to happen tonight. So as mentioned, we will be covering Greenland, one of my favorite expedition cruise destinations, somewhere that I think previously has sometimes been a little bit overlooked, perhaps for the star attraction of Antarctica and perhaps for other Arctic regions, but it's somewhere that is definitely becoming more and more of a key destination for us. It's seeing more expedition cruise options to go and explore this incredible landscape, and it's a really rich, varied and diverse landscape, as well as I'm sure you'll find out in our presentation in a bit. So that is our focus for today. Coming up after my introduction, just a few minutes from me, you'll be pleased to hear. We'll then hand over to our special guest, Laali Berthelsen, who I will introduce in just a moment. We will then have a quick Q&A after the presentation. I'll ask some questions about the presentation first, and if you have any questions, then you can do that using the chat function, which you'll probably find at the bottom of your screen. I'll come on to that in just a moment. And then we will have a wrap up. And we do, as ever, in our Polar Routes Inspiration series, have a prize draw at the end as well. So we've got a couple of prizes in the back of the Polar Routes cupboard. Actually, not in the back of the cupboard, because one of them's brownies. So I assure you that it's not been sat in the back of the cupboard. But we've got two prizes that you've got the choice between tonight. We're covering sort of Greenland, so it felt very fitting to have on offer one of the bottles of the Orkney Distillery's Northwest Passage gin, or you can choose the Pink Pipper Kitchen Polar Bear brownies. So the prize winner will be announced at the end of today's session, and the deal is that you must still be here. You must be a live watcher, and you must still be here at the end to claim your prize. That is the same that we always have in the Polar Routes Inspirational Series. So two great prizes there for you. Tonight's session, as ever, is supported by one of our fantastic expedition cruise partners. Tonight is supported by HX Expeditions, and thank you very much to them. HX is in a really exciting position. I'm sure Laali might go into it a little bit, but for those of you who don't know, Gruten, who do the coastal voyages and used to do expedition, has had a divide, if you like, in the company, and has now formed two separate companies. So Gruten have gone back to their roots to look after the coastal voyages, and the expedition side of the business has now become HX Expeditions, and it's got all of the things that for those of you who have traveled with Gruten previously, it'll have all of the things that you know and love about that brand, and they've got a very exciting future and in development. Lots of exciting plans and things for the future, and I think HX is already one of the leading brands in the market, covering 250 destinations worldwide, including the polar regions, Greenland, and more remote places such as the Galapagos and some warm weather places as well. It will be very exciting to see the product develop even more over the coming years. So we will refer to them today as HX Expeditions. The logo has still got Gruten in there, And apologies, especially if there's any HX execs watching, if I flip back into saying Hurtigruten, I will do my very best not to do that. But thank you to HX Expeditions for supporting today's session. So just quickly, for any of you that don't know us, we are Polar Routes and we are the Polar Expedition Cruise Specialists. For regular watchers, you may have noticed that we've had a bit of a branding update. We have a new jazzy logo, a new look and feel. It's something that I really love. I hope you do too. Feel free to put any comments in the chat if you wish to make some comments. So you'll see a new look and feel and this hopefully a fresh new look for us. The website is still in development. That is going to be a few months away yet, so a little bit in transition. But for those of you that receive our newsletters, you've probably seen our new style and you'll see that in our new presentation today. But what we do remains the same. We're one of the UK's leading expedition cruise wholesalers, working with now over 25 leading expedition cruise operators to the polar regions and beyond. We have a Beyond the Poles program now as well, with some really exciting itineraries around the world. We can compare all of the operators' itineraries, their ships, their prices and their inclusions to help you find the perfect expedition cruise. As mentioned, we work with over 25 partners. There's a few names on screen there, but that is by no means all who we work with. We work with everything from leading expedition companies, even down to ships as small as 12 passengers in the polar regions. All of our team have expert first-hand advice and first-hand experience of traveling on expedition ships in polar regions. Greenland, as we're covering today, myself also included with that as well. And our team work day in, day out on their knowledge of the ships, the operators, the itineraries. We can package your expedition cruise with flights, all the transfers necessary to get to and from the ship, accommodation if you require, and even exciting land packages as well. We fly people into some very weird and wonderful places, including in Greenland as well. At some airports that you may have never heard of, but that is what we do day in, day out. So we'll get you there, we'll get you home, we'll look after you all the way through. As ever, prices with us are the same or better than the cruise line operators, than the cruise operators. That's absolutely guaranteed. You'll never pay Polar Routes more than you will an operator directly. All cruise operator offers are always applicable through us, and you'll sometimes see some exclusive Polar Routes deals, and including our own hosted departures as well. So that is on there. And we also have our reward scheme. So you'll earn points on your booking that you can then spend on your future cruises. So you'll become a member of My Routes Rewards from your first booking. And I know some of you on here are regular users of those points to top up your travel or either look at future cruises or even upgrades and things like that as well. And you can spend them with us or our sister company, that's in Routes. We support the UK Antarctic Heritage Trust, the amazing work that they do. They look after 6 historic sites in Antarctica, lots of Antarctica artifacts. They look after the preservation for those for generations to come. And for those that you may know, they also run the Penguin Post Office, or the British Post Office, that is based at Port Lefroy in Antarctica. I was very privileged to visit that earlier this year, and they even let me behind the counter, as you can see, for a picture behind the famous post office counter. They let me touch an imaginary post box and nothing else. So it was great to do that and see them. So that's everything from us. That's it from me. As mentioned, if you have any questions about today's session, so that's anything to do with Greenland, any questions for Laali, who will meet in just a moment, and her role and what she does, or any general travel questions about expedition cruising to Greenland, pop them in the chat. You don't need to wait till the end. You can pop them in as we go, and I will loop back around after today's presentation and cover off all or as many as possible. So feel free to ask those questions in the chat function, which should be at the bottom of your screen. So that is enough from me. It is time to meet our very special guests today, and I'm really looking forward to this one. So our special guest is Laali Berthelsen, and she's joining us now. Hi, Laali. So Laali is the product manager for Greenland, Iceland, and the Faroe Islands for HX Expeditions, but she is a proud Inuit, born and raised in Nuuk, and comes to us live from Nuuk on a turnaround day for HX as well. So thank you, Laali, for squeezing us into what I'm sure is a very busy day to you. So I'm sure that you will agree that is no one better to take us through the magic of Greenland. So Laali, good evening or good morning to you.
Good afternoon here.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, a busy day, but I'm so happy that I can share a bit of history and storytellings from Greenland. So I'm really pleased to be here.
Brilliant. Well, I will turn off my screen if you want to share your presentation, Laali. I'm going to hand over to you, and I will loop back in afterwards to go over some questions and take any questions that we've got from the floor. It's all sharing. It all looks good, Laali. So I'll turn my camera off and hand over to you. Thanks very much.
Thank you. So my name is Laali Berthelsen, and I'm born and raised in Greenland. As you can see here, it's my national costume, and it takes a long time to make. I haven't made it myself, but it's a costume that takes quite some time, and it's really heavy and it's really warm. So we can wear this in the winter as well. And in the back, you see my hometown, Nuuk, the capital of Greenland, with 20,000 inhabitants. You see the colorful houses. They used to be color codes back in the days where the schools were red and the school teachers were living in red houses, that the supermarkets were blue, and the persons that worked at the supermarkets would get a blue house, and the hospitals yellow, and the doctors in yellow houses, and so on. And then with the time, the houses were building around and they start to mix the colors. Nowadays, there are no color codes, but you don't want the same color as your neighbor. I am, as I said, born and raised here in Greenland, but I've traveled a lot. I studied service economy with tourism as my specialty in Denmark. Here in Greenland, you can study. We have one university, so there are several degrees you can take, but not that many. So a lot of us go to Denmark or abroad to take a higher education. So I went to Denmark. My sister went to Denmark, and when I finished I got my degree in 2009, and I started as a study visit in 2008 in Ilulissat at World of Greenland. Tourism, the biggest tourism organization back then. So I've done 17 summers in Ilulissat, and I enjoy it really much. I love it. And you can see the picture where I'm wearing red. This is Ilulissat. It means the icebergs. So it's the town of the icebergs. Really beautiful. And I love to go there. So I spent many summers, 17 summers, 16 or 17 summers there. And for the winter seasons is low season in Greenland. So I went abroad. So I've done different countries. South Africa, I enjoyed really much, and I've been there 6 times, but working 3 times. And I've done China a couple of times as well when I worked for a company that did a marathon on the wall. So I worked in different countries in the wintertime, and summertimes I always return to Greenland. When COVID hit, I was in Ilulissat with a group. So I was asked where to go, Denmark or Greenland. So we were not hit back then that like it came really late in Greenland and not that like dramatically. So I stayed in Greenland, and when I stopped up, it was a bit weird. I think it was quite odd for many of us, especially when you're working with the tourists and no tourist for years. So I met a guy and we got pregnant. So I decided to move back home. Now I live in Nuuk, where I was born, and I enjoy it. I love it. So something came out good after COVID, at least. In between the low seasons, I've been taking other courses like fitness instructor, personal trainer, and then nutrition and training is really coming hand in hand. So I did a nutrition course as well. And I've done different courses along the coast for the youth the troubled youth, mostly troubled, the ones that didn't have any job or any education, and mostly they will come from an abused family, so they have troubles at home and maybe don't really have the big dream because they live day by day. So I've been taking a 10 groups or so by now, doing some motivation and talk about exercise and nutrition, just some every day. We took one day at the time, and then we do some exercise in the afternoon, do some walks in the nature, do some meditation and different things. So I did a positive psychology supervisor course when I started to have these groups, which I enjoyed really much. And I could see, I stayed with them for a week or two, and I could see a huge change motivation wise with them. So I enjoyed it really much. So I kept going until I got pregnant, and then I decided to do a mindfulness instructor course because I had to think about the little guy who was inside me, and I had to start taking more care of myself as well. So I did that. So I have a perfect work because I can balance between the health market and also the tourism. So I enjoy that really much. But today we're going to talk about Greenland. Greenland is really, really big, and it's the biggest island in the world. And as you can see, there are a few highlighted towns. It's just to mark some of the towns. And you can see the one in East Greenland is Ittoqqortoormiit. We have really long sentences. So mostly at the public, we use sometimes the English words, or sometimes we use the Danish words, because exit, the short word exit, if you want to say that in Greenlandic, is ajutulunnommi aniffisak. So it's easier to have the exit sign everywhere on the ships and places. But it's because our language is a descriptive language. So like when you say spoon, you say the thing that you lick on, and knife is the thing that you cut with. So our words are really, really long because it's descriptive. And as you can see, Greenland, when you put it on top of Europe, it's quite big. It's covered a lot of the countries. And yet we are only 56,000 inhabitants, because we only live in the coast of Greenland. In the middle of Greenland, 80% of the country is covered by ice. So we only live in the coast. And on the east coast, there's only 2 towns. It's really rough. The weather is really rough, and there's only twice a year they get a cargo ship, which we get from Denmark with all the groceries that we have in the shops. So the west coast we have 17 towns, and you have so many different towns further down south where you can see Ilulissat. There's only Uummannaq, Upamadaq, and Qaanaaq further north than Ilulissat, because it's really rough as well weather-wise. Qaanaaq is really, really far. So Qaanaaq and Ittoqqortoormiit is the ones in East Greenland. They speak Greenlandic, but they speak their own dialect, which is so much different than mine that I have a hard time to understand them sometimes. So they have to speak slowly, and I will get some of the words here and there. In their school, they have to learn West Greenlandic, the Greenlandic that I speak here in Nuuk. And in school, we also learn Danish and English from first grade now. When I went to school, you had to choose between Greenlandic or Danish class, and then you will learn the second language in 4th grade and English in 7th grade, which was really late. So I went to the States to learn English after my school. And you see that a lot nowadays. The country is so big, we also have really big differences between the south, where we have the farmers, we have horses, they have horses, and they're growing different things, and they have farming. And then in the East Greenland and the far north, they have the polar bears. But again, the country is so big, so if you want to see polar bears, I recommend that you go to Svalbard or do one of our trips to East Greenland. So the biggest chance is there. East Greenland is really beautiful, dramatic mountains, as you can see on the right-hand side. There are a lot of hikers that comes to East Greenland. And if you're coming, please pack in layers so you can be in layers. You never know with the weather. Here in Greenland, we have a lot of culture, but we also have modern lifestyle. So as you can see, this is what some people could wear. It is really traditional, but also you see a lot of fashion in Greenland. We also have local designers. So we get everything, as I said before, shipped, all the grocery, everything for building houses, for furniture, for clothing, everything is shipped from Denmark to Greenland. And we're part of Denmark. We have the Danish king and queen. And then still you see a lot of culture. Depends on where you are in Greenland. In Nuuk, we are really, it's more modern in Nuuk than the rest of the coast. We have 20,000 inhabitants, and the second biggest is Sisimiut. It has 5,500 inhabitants. And then we have Ilulissat, and then the rest are really small. Some of the villages only have 45 inhabitants. So you can imagine they live more of hunting as well. In far north in East Greenland, they live by hunting, while they maybe get some nice stuff like coffee, sugar, and candy at the supermarket. And then you can imagine also the grocery is not, it doesn't last that long because the cargo ships only come twice a year. So when the first cargo ship comes after a winter season in East Greenland, it's a big, big day. The school closes, everyone runs down to the harbor. There's fireworks, even though it's light. It's a big day. So it's if you come to East Greenland, don't go grocery shopping, but maybe bring the school some small pencils or whatever they can use in the school. They really, really enjoy that. So transportation wise, we have a lot of cars in Nuuk, but in the coast, you will see there are some of the places they don't even have tar roads. So they are driving around with ATVs, and they are taking the dog sled in the winter time. Summertime, you can go by dog sled. And also the dog sled it's from the Arctic Circle above. That's where they're using the dog sled, because we don't have the Greenlandic dog sled dogs further south because they can't be used. We don't have the pack ice in the southern part of Greenland. So you have the signs with the dog sled because it's easier to stop a car than 20 dogs. So this is really much fun to take pictures of when you go further than the Arctic Circle. So here in Nuuk, we have what we call Danish dogs. It's dogs from Europe. And then further up north, they only have the Greenlandic dog sled dog. And they're not allowed to mix. So this is a normal transportation in Greenland. We have one ferry that goes from South Greenland, Qaqortoq, to Ilulissat. And then it returns. It takes a week up and down. And then most of the families outside of Nuuk have a small boat. So they prioritize a boat, then a car. They go by an open boat mostly, the fishermen. The biggest market in Greenland is fishing. So they use the fishing boat to go fish, but also to go from A to B, because we don't have roads connecting any towns. So you have to go by boat mostly. You can also go by snowmobile or dog sled. If it's winter, you can use those. Helicopter is used mostly when you go to the smaller villages in the winter time, because the boat can go there. Further down south, we're still using smaller boats that are collaborating with the ferry. So as you can see, this is a picture taken in Ilulissat. It's not summertime, but still there's a lot of boats in the harbor. but it's not quite winter because the sea is not frozen. But this is just to show you how many boats there are in the harbor. And you can imagine maybe half of it is out fishing. So there are a lot of boats. They do have 34 taxis in Ilulissat, so it is prioritized to have a boat, and the most cars you will see will be either taxis or company cars. As I said, fishing is the biggest industry, but the tourism is second and is increasing really fast, especially now when we have the international airport opening in Nuuk. It is easier to come to Nuuk. SAS is coming in, United Airlines is coming in, flights from the States, from Iceland, from Denmark are coming in directly. So we started as well with our cruise ships to do turnarounds from Nuuk and starts the voyages from Nuuk, which has been a really good thing. Otherwise, the guest had to start from Reykjavik, started with 2 sea days before they reached Greenland. And when they ending the voyage, they also had to go 2 days on sea before ending in Reykjavik. So it's a really good thing for us. We have a 4,500-year-old culture and history. This picture is taken far up north in Thule area, Hanaf area, and you see there are a lot of similarities with Canadian Inuits and the ones in Alaska because we came through that way. We came from Siberia through Alaska to Canada and entered Greenland. We've had different kind of cultures coming into Greenland from Canada. They probably didn't even know that they were entering an island. So they came in, and some of the cultures, Saka culture, Thule culture, independence culture, they have disappeared again. It has been ice age. It has been hard. It's been rough to live here. So we don't really have any like true scientists have told us different things, but we are not really sure why and how they disappeared. So we believe that it might have been the weather and the climate change. So Thule culture, which are my ancestors, they came as the latest people that came from Canada, through Canada. And then we've been mixed with a lot of whalers, Europeans and Danes and Norwegian. So a lot of people in the south part of Greenland, they have blonde hair and blue eyes, which is also really normal in Greenland. So we are mixed in Greenland. Parts of Greenland, you see a lot of half Danes like me. I'm half Danish and half Greenlandic. My dad lived here for 38 years. And you see the smaller places you get, they are less mixed. But we're all Greenlanders, of course. So we have a lot of story. So it's really nice to come here. And here you see 2 pictures just to show you the similarities of the one to the left is one of my friends, Maria. She's Greenlander. And the one to the right is a woman I took a picture of when I was working on a ship through Northwest Passage. So she's Canadian, and she looked really much like a Greenlander. And you can see they have face tattoos. This is coming back in Greenland because we were not allowed to use them or to do tattoos when the Christianity came into Greenland. And nowadays we're coming back to our old roots. So the drum dancing, the tattoos, a lot of cultural things are coming back, and you see it really clearly that it's to show that we're proud of who we are and where we come from. So tattoos are really, really normal to see nowadays. And then here you see we do have some legends and tales as well that are shown in different places when you're visiting Greenland or hear about Greenland, read about Greenland. We have different things that are attached to our history. So We have the mother of the sea to the right. She is living to the bottom of the sea, and this is who we prayed to before we became Christian. We believe that she lived down at the bottom of the sea with a long black hair. And if there wasn't any whales or seals or anything to catch out in the nature, it was her that punished the people because they didn't take care of the nature. So the shaman in this settlement will go down with a spiritual travel down to the bottom of the sea to comb her hair and say sorry. And all the animals that were inside her hair will be taken out and they will be back in the sea. And this tupilak that you see to the left is made mostly by reindeer antlers. So you can take it in and out to anywhere it's allowed to bring that outside the country. So this is made, in the beginning, it was made like kind of like a voodoo doll. But if that person you sent it to had made one for you, your old doll will return to you. So they changed the whole thing, and now they're making it to keep themselves safe. So it's more like the blue eye in the Mediterranean area. So it's for good luck. So nowadays we also give this to if anyone has a birthday or education, whatever, it's a gift that we also as locals give our friends and families. You see these kind of stories as well in the other Inuit countries. So this is how we used to be buried. You see all these rocks on top of each other. And this used to be like a grave. So they were put in a sealskin bag, and then they put stones on top of the sealskin, the body. So we will always put the body facing the sea because we believe in the mother of the sea. So there they were. And it was really hard for the people back then when the Christianity came in the 1700s, that they were saying that we had to lay down and facing the air. So it was really hard for them to be convinced. But by the time some years went by, and now 95% of us are Christian, and now we lay down to face God, of course, when we are buried. We use plastic flowers because plastic lasts longer, and we don't really have that many places that sell real flowers because it takes a long time with the cargo ships. And sometimes they places that do have the flowers, they are flew in with the flight, so they are fresh, but we don't have it that many towns in Greenland. But it also looks nice, and the flowers, they last longer. And this is me, my mom, and my little sister and her huge family. This is just to show you the national costume again. So the male's costume is not as hard to make as the woman's, as you can see. But the back in the days, the man was a hunter and the woman would stay at home making all the clothing. And she was as important as the man, because if the woman made a small mistake and there was a little hole in the clothing, it could be life-threatening in minus 40 degrees, for instance. So they were equally worthy back in the day. So also back in the days. So this is the national costume is used for any weddings, educations, first day of school. So when I had my first, it was when I was baptized, really small. So today it's on a doll. And the second one was when I started in school, like you see here, the kids with their Greenlandic flag. And we also wear it when we graduate and for weddings. So the only thing that changes is the color of the anorak, which is the bottom part. Instead of being red, it will become blue if you are widow, and it's purple when you are young, a small kid. So the flag here is the Greenlandic flag. It's representing the sunset with an iceberg in the sea. And a little bit about Greenland. When we take a look at the east side of Greenland, we have the national park. And this is where we have a lot of wild wilderness, and we have animals like polar bears. And then the southern part of East Greenland, we have a lot of hikers, as I also said, and skiers, and there are heli skiing. And then we also have a lot of we have Ittoqqortoormiit and the Sinap as town, and they get quite some touristic visits from flying directly from Iceland. Then we have the southern Greenland, which has also a lot of history regarding the Norse that came. We did get the Norwegians and Icelandic people that came to the southern part of Greenland. That's where the name Greenland comes from. Eric the Red, he reached Greenland in South Greenland. So this, as I said, was the farming area. So it is really green. And then we have the capital, Nuuk. Of course, it's Greenland, but it's more like a big city lifestyle. We have shopping, we have restaurants, cafes, cinemas, swimming pool. So it is quite nice to visit as well, because we also have a backyard that is really beautiful. So you can also enjoy a nice restaurant and then go out and go on a really beautiful boat trip as well and see the nature. And then we have the Disco Bay area. This is where the most visited town is Ilulissat, the town of the icebergs that I mentioned earlier. This is in the Disco Bay area. So we have Disco Island, and we have the most productive glacier in the Northern Hemisphere. So we have huge icebergs up there, and of course also whales. And then we have the north part of Greenland, where we have all the icebergs as well, but we also have the pack ice that comes from the north down south. We have a lot of dog sled visitors in that part of Greenland. By ship, the cruise season is only June, July, August, and September. It's due to all this pack ice that comes along, and it is our summer, so it's more stable weather, but still you need to bring for different seasons, because you never know. During one day, we can have all seasons weather. So we have our ship that comes around, and I will tell you a bit about the itineraries shortly. But Greenland is a destination with natural wonders. We have glaciers, we have huge icebergs, we have dramatic mountains, really beautiful, and Christiansund Sound, which is in south part of Greenland. When you cross from East Greenland to West Greenland, you can go through this sound, which is amazing. It's really beautiful. Then we have the different culture and community visits. It depends on where you are, of course, but you will meet Greenlanders. They're warm and open armed. They do have what we call kaffemik, which is when someone's birthday or first day of school, any occasion, they have an open house, what we call, and then everyone is invited. Come bring your friends and families, and there are lots of Greenlandic dishes and cakes. So, and some stay for the half of the day and just enjoy the free food and the company, which is really nice. On our cruise ships, we do have different experiences. So our ships are not the big, huge ones with thousands of passengers. The biggest one, 450 or 500 packs, and then we have 200 to 250 packs. So the ships that comes here is Amundsen, Nansen, Fram, and Spitsbergen, and then we have different, depends on where you are going in the country. We have different local people that comes on board and tell stories, and that are part of the expedition teams. Polar plunge is a really big thing. Once you cross the Arctic Circle, people are jumping in the sea. We have the citizen science. We have different samples that are taking wherever we go to. We collaborate with different sciences to see if we can do a difference and show some results of the climate change and how it is changing. So the differences between a normal cruise ship and our smaller expedition cruises is that you can go further in the fjords and you can go to places that none of other ships can go. And it makes a really big difference that instead of going from town to town to town, that you also get some time in the nature on a Zodiac, being in this huge nature and the silence. Some people say they come to hear the silence. We do have local partnerships. So that last year we became partners with Air Greenland, which is the local airline, and they have different companies that are under this Air Greenland group, and which we also utilize as a free product. For instance, is Limanak that you see on the right top corner. And it's a really beautiful area where you have the icebergs and the whales as a view, and you get to be among locals. That it's only like 40 inhabitants in a good day, 45 maybe. So you get to be in this really small community and get to experience how it's like to be among them. And then we have they also have a plea, which is another lodge that are located in front of a Calvin Glacier. We are working together with the Arctic Excursion Greenland Travel as well as Hotel Arctic, which is their hotel in Ilulissat. We also support the locals in other ways. So our first turnaround in Nuuk, we had a huge celebration day where we had a local designer, Nikki Isaacson, that did a talk and fashion show. And then we worked with Hughes Greenland. Maybe some of you have seen her. She's the biggest SoMe person in Greenland. So we work with her for each turnaround that we have. And last week we actually did this huge thing for the locals in Kana, because due to the pack ice, they don't get cargo ships that often. And this winter season has been really long. The weather has been so bad that the flight couldn't land there. So they had a lot of mail that wasn't sent up there, and that was really late. So we took all this 1.3 tons of mail and food goods that were taken up to Kana by our ships, and they were all so happy. So we have some locals on board. We have Nils, he's a local guide on board, and then we have Sissel and Hope, who are in the yellow jackets. They are part of the expedition team. Alakachak in the middle, he's a previous hunter in Kana that lives far, far away. And he's on board of our ship for the entire Greenland season on Nansen, doing lectures about Greenland, and they can ask him whenever they like about Greenland. Then we also have local chefs on board of all of our ships, and they are cooking local food with local history, and they are just really nice to have them on board. I'm really happy that we get this chance. So a little bit of the destinations we have. We have some of the ships coming. There are circumnavigating Baffin Bay, and then we have from Reykjavik to Greenland. We do have some Svalbard, Greenland, and Iceland as well. So a little bit of the voyages for next season, which some of them are also for this season. And we are covering the highlights, I would say. And but this year we haven't had it for years, but this year we started for Thule Karnak area, and we were the first one to reach that region. So it was a big day. It was really nice. Next year we have a solar eclipse expedition that goes to east part of Greenland, and it will start the 3rd of August. And I also mentioned this as a pre-product when the voyages that goes through Copenhagen, they go to Ilimanak before they get on board of the ship and have the voyage along the coast. Kuyanak. Thank you very much. That was it from me.
Thank you very much, Laali. That's brilliant. Thank you. And there's so many great pictures in there as well. That was wonderful, wonderful. I've got just to sort of kick off the discussion. It's the culture side is amazing, and we'll circle back onto that with Greenland because it's such an important part of any expedition cruise there. But I wanted to ask the sort of natural locate the most beautiful natural locations. If you I know people in product hate it when people ask this, but if you had to pick a top three, say, or if you need, what top three locations in Greenland would someone are your top three favorite natural locations, and what's there and why?
So, as you maybe can guess, Ilulissat is my first. I've been there so many times because I really love that area because of the big icebergs, the glaciers, and it's just a slow lifestyle, like slower. You get to really slow down, and not in the tourism industry, but in the nature. It's a really calm area, and you have the whales, you have the icebergs, and you have the history, you have the really nice people, and it's not as busy as in Nuuk. So it's a really nice place to be. And then maybe as my second, I would say Qeqertaqsuaq. It's the Disco Island. It's volcanic created and it's really green, really beautiful. It has a lot of different flowers and basaltic cliffs. So it has really nice hikes, and you can get on top of it, where they have this mini inland ice, where they sometimes have the opportunity to do the dog sledding even in the summer. So it's a really nice place. And for my third, I would say East Greenland because of its really beautiful, dramatic nature and scenery.
And you touched on in your presentation, didn't you? Because one of the things I think that surprised me most when I went to Greenland is that the scenery is super varied, isn't it? Because the Ilulissat, for example, is probably everything you want from, or you might imagine from an ice point of view. But with not too much distance, the scenery is completely different, isn't it? It's so varied.
Yeah. So it depends on what you want. South Greenland, green farming, really nice hikes. That would be my fourth. So it's yeah, it depends on what you're, and being on a cruise, it just gives you the chance to see a lot of the different places, both the towns and the nature.
So coming on to that, I mean, on a typical, let's just say 10-day, 2-week itinerary, I know there's big variances, but on a sort of 2-week, if we take, you're going to see you see quite a big variant, quite a big range of places, don't you, in over distances. So you're going to get a
Yeah,
really good flavor
yeah,
for a large part of Greenland, aren't you?
yeah. So you start like if we take the one that starts in Nuuk and go further up, you get to all the way to Qaanaaq. So you get Nuuk and you go to small places. You do have expedition days where you don't see any settlements, but you get to go on land, do some hikes, do some kayaking, and zodiac driving around whatever you see and icebergs. And you have lectures on board telling you about everything that you go and visit. So it's a really nice way of learning and experiencing Greenland.
We should clarify the Zodiac driving is done by professionals. Just not, not by guests. I don't think the insurances would allow that. Talking of the settlements, so obviously on a typical itinerary, you're going to see a big range of natural destinations, and then obviously settlements as well. And obviously you've touched on Nuuk, which, as you mentioned, has got a new international airport, which is making connectivity easier. I imagine for a lot of people that don't know, Nook's probably a bit of a surprise for people when they land, I would imagine, because it's a really buzzy cosmopolitan city. Your picture with of you in Nook in the front is probably not. It's probably a part of Nook, isn't it? But it's going to
Yeah.
be a bit of a surprise, I think, for a lot of people. What Just talk us through kind of Nook. What's it like? What is someone going to land and see when they get there?
So in Nuuk, you have like you can go to places with the story. We have the National Museum with the mummies there. We have the old houses, the colonial harbor, which is nice with the monument. We have the church right there as well. But then you also have the big, bigger buildings, and we have restaurants, we have cafes, and yeah, it's people are busy working from 8 to 4, and then picking up the kids, do some grocery shopping, cooking, and it's there's always something going on culture-wise at the culture house. So there's some concerts here and there and music, yeah, different stuff. There's something going on all the time.
All the time. And then obviously, as you kind of take on your cruise, you're going to visit some settlements. I mean, I'm not sure whether they're ones you visit, but some of the settlements have got as little as 45 people or under,
Mm.
under 100. I remember I've been. Do you want
Mhm.
to just talk through kind of, is there any specific places that HX visit or the kind of towns that where it probably is more what people imagine with the coloured housing and just a few hundred people living and what that's like and what a sort of visit would look like there?
Yeah. So one of the small places we are visiting is Itista. And here we do have, we arranged to have this cafe mic that I was talking about, where they have the open house, where you get to see the house and talk to the locals that live there, and they tell you whatever they have hanging on the walls, and the guests can ask about anything. And then there are cake and coffee and just cozy times with the locals. And then we also have a football match. We also have this in East Greenland, so a football match with the locals, which is a nice experience as well for the guests to, yeah, to get to know them in a different way and laugh together, and so it's a really nice small place with a nice hike and nice surroundings, and you get to see really like it's a small place, and a lot of people, they're really surprised how silent Greenlanders also can be. So you can also visit someone and they're not really talking that much, but they're there and they respond to whatever you're asking. But Greenlanders are really silent people. And it's not because they don't like you. You just have to ask them things and they will answer. Yeah.
I do remember that, but sometimes it was quite because you do the kind of little groups, so don't you? Because you don't all go into one. It would have been possible anyway. You
Yeah.
don't all go into
Yeah,
one
they're
house. You do the
divided.
little groups.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, you kind of are asking. It's not like they talk, but it's not. It feels very natural. It's quite weird to say, but yeah, probably for someone from the UK and potentially certainly from some other nationalities, the silence. They're very Greenland are very comfortable in silence, which I remember as well when we were on there. And I should also just point out the village that we visited. The football match was great fun, and everyone can take part. So don't, if you're not a football person, don't worry. It's great fun, but also they are very good at football. As well, from what I remember. Just coming back to, and then there's a few questions waiting. I'll come on to those as well. But just coming back to the sort of more natural side, you mentioned obviously sort of hiking, and there's some really active elements as well. So a sort of typical Greenland expedition cruise is going to have some cultural elements, some visits, and what kind of you mentioned hiking. Are we getting right up into the mountains? Are they quite tame? What's the sort of what can someone expect from the more active side of the expedition?
So it's hiking, yes, and we have different level of hiking. So it is up to the guest how fit they are and how much they want to hike. There is a hike, and they always provide, the expedition team is really good, and they provide all the information and bookings a day or sometimes 2 days ahead. So they tell about everything of the upcoming town or village they're visiting and what's the options there and how the level of difficulty is. But they do have hikes, but it's mostly on like on mountains and no glaciers. I saw one of the questions were of if there were any glacier hikes, but we don't have that on our cruise. The glaciers are normally like they are either active or you can hike by the close to them, but not on them.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that specifically, but I assume that was the answer because I think that's quite a specialist activity, hiking on the glaciers itself.
Yeah, it's not possible because there are holes and it's just not safe to hike on
Yeah.
glaciers.
Okay, great. And Jill's just asked a question, which just leads on to what I was coming around to, which is wildlife. Obviously, so we'll go to Jill's question first, actually, and then I'll come back to more general. So Jill says about that she would like to see polar bears. Which cruise do I need to take / where do I need to go in Greenland? So you covered it a little bit, but do you want to just talk a bit more about the polar bear situation in Greenland?
Yeah, so that would be East Greenland. East Greenland is when they have the pack ice coming down along the coast of East Greenland, there will be polar bears. This is how they travel. It's by the ice coming down the coast. So East Greenland or the far north kind of Thule area will be the two different choices that you have.
Two different bits. And for East Greenland to see polar bears, sort of earlier season, I think, because there's more ice around. Is that that's from memory? Does that read?
There will be too much ice in the beginning of the summer, so this is when they start to break off, and then there will be too much ice. So when our ships are starting is the end of August, this will be the time to go.
Okay. So and then that's when you're going to see that. So that covers polar bears, and then if you're coming over to West Greenland, I think it's pretty fair to say chances of seeing polar bears is pretty unlikely, isn't it? I mean, not
Yeah,
impossible, but
you
pretty
have to go
unlikely.
far north, Hanak area. There's
Yeah.
some chance, but the rest of the West Greenland, South Greenland, yeah, sometimes when the polar bears comes with on the ice from the east coast, then they go by stream down to the south tip of East Greenland, Kapoktok area, they do see polar bears once in a while. But the rest of the west coast, no.
So much, yeah. Okay, which I think is quite an important thing because, as you said, Svalbard for polar bears. The new regulations make that a little bit more difficult, but East Greenland looks like is a good option. We've had some of our sales team in East Greenland, and they've had some good polar bear encounters there. Obviously, it's never guaranteed anywhere, but yeah, East Greenland would be good on that. So just to go a bit broader into other wildlife, you mentioned obviously whales. What types of whales and chances of seeing them, and what other wildlife highlights is someone going to likely to see on a Greenland cruise?
So we have a lot of humpback whales. This will be the one that you probably will see. We do have different kind of whales, but the humpback whale is the curious one. So if it's here in Indian, it doesn't disappear. It keeps coming up. And we have a lot of humpback whales in the west coast and the east coast. So there are you'll be able to see whales. Not guaranteed, but you might see them.
Be unlucky not to. And then wildlife on land and birds and obviously muskox and stuff. What's the other wildlife highlights there?
So muskox and reindeer we do have, and then we have foxes. But then again, when I say like we have a lot of different birds as well, but as you can imagine, Greenland is so big, so some people expect a bit too much when they come here to see wildlife because the country is so big. It's if you want to see a seal, you have to be out on the deck and keep looking and keep looking. The whales might be easier to spot.
Because we always, when we talk about Greenland, it could be interesting. Hopefully you agree. But when we always talk about, we sort of say the two biggest reasons to go for us is landscapes, because we think there is few places, almost no places in the world like the landscapes of Greenland. And I always really crassly describe it as like Norwegian fjords on steroids. Like it's nothing like you've ever seen. That's how I describe it. I don't know whether you would agree, but it's wildlife and sorry, it's landscapes and cultures, the two biggest reasons
Yeah,
to visit. Would
yeah,
you agree?
yeah. I do agree. Yeah, these are the two ones that we normally talk more about, and the culture, also the history, of course. But yeah, because we what people come to see and experience is the nature. Of course, to meet the people, it's really important as well. I think the nature is so big and pure. You have this special feeling that yeah, you're just a tiny dot in this huge nature.
Yeah. And Greenland makes you feel small. I definitely
Yeah,
think it's one of the,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I would go along with that. Just to cover off, so Sherry has asked a couple of questions. First of all, actually, this just related slightly into the visit. So she said, can I take some pens and pencils for children in West Greenland? Is there
Yes,
any
of
other
course.
sort of, yeah, is there any sort of other tips about, pens and pencils, great. Is there anything else that's worth taking or actually not necessary? What's your sort of tips about that side of things?
I think it's because the pencils don't take that much space and they don't weigh too much. So I think it's a great thing. Colors, but when when bringing it to West Greenland, maybe bring it to one of the small villages. It's better than when, for instance, bring it to Nuuk. You can buy it at the supermarket, or you have several shops where you can
Yeah.
buy it. So it's more special to give it to smaller places.
And anything not to bring? I've heard sort of things like sweets. It's not that encouraged, is it? Or like, as in, it'll be gratefully received, but anything like
You
any
know,
no's?
I work with health, so I would say don't bring sweets.
Yeah.
It's always fun for the kids if there's like some special sweets or colors, but it's I think something that they can use again. So the sweets will be gone after 5 minutes. But a pencil they will always remember and they can use it for school.
Yeah. I think we got told on our cruise that the parents don't really appreciate it when people bring
Yeah,
their kids for the sweet, for the same reason as it is everywhere. So that's one thing.
yeah.
And Sherry also asked, which a good question: does Greenland have its own gin distillery?
Yes. I mean, they make the gin from the Greenlandic ice. So, but a lot of the things like we don't have factories where you can make these, so they're made abroad, but it's with the Greenlandic ice. And we also have gin. We have a vodka as well, and there are I don't know if you know nap. It's or I don't even know if there's an English word for that, but it's a liquid
Just like
alcohol.
a spirit, like a high strength
It's a
alcohol.
strong alcohol.
So there's some stuff to try. I'm guessing you can
Yeah,
find these in the shops, and I would imagine at duty free at Nook Airport. I imagine we'll have some things to take away from that
yeah,
realm as well. Brilliant, Lally. Thank you so much. I could talk for much longer, but we're already slightly overrun, so we must leave. Yeah, we must end it right there. But if you have got any questions for anyone who's watching that we haven't covered, feel free to email in. I'll pop our email address up in a minute. Feel free to email in, and we can get the answers from Lally or from any of the team if you need. But thank you, Lally, especially on turnaround day. We'll let you get your ship ready for departure this afternoon. Thank you so much to you for that great
my
presentation
pleasure.
and for all of your insight. What I will do now is just reshare my screen because we have a prize draw that we must give away. So I'm hoping that works. Here we go. There it is. Right. So that's Lally. So the prize winner has been drawn at random while Lally was talking, and tonight's winner is Lydia Pipler. So Lydia, congratulations to you. you have the choice between the Northwest Passage Arctic Explorers gin. Apologies, it's not a Greenland gin. I was not aware it's available. We will do our best for next time to maybe see if we can find something available in the UK. But the Northwest Passage gin is excellent, as is the pink pepper brownies, chocolate brownies in the polar bear tin. Your choice of either. To claim that, just email into info@polarroutes.co.uk with your details and your choice, and we will get those prizes, one of those prizes out to you. Congratulations to you, Lydia. Right, just to wrap up, if you have, I know some of you have booked, if you have, but if you are not and you've been inspired and you would like to have a look at some of HX's cruises to Greenland or to indeed any of their other destinations, there are some great offers on at the moment. They are marketing and celebrating their 130th anniversary, which I'm guessing is from the original Hurtigruten Foundation. So it's they've still got the Hurtigruten heritage, but it's great time savings of up to 25%. Also, free upgrades to suites on selected sailings aboard the Fram, Nansen, and Amundsen. And you will also receive an additional 5% off by booking through Polar Routes. That collection of offers ends on the 31st of August, so a little bit of time, but it is very popular. And HX do have a policy that if they can pull their offers at any time, so I wouldn't necessarily wait too long, as particularly with the free upgrades to suites on the selected voyages, they're becoming harder to find, but not impossible. So do get in touch if that inspires you. It's also worth drawing your attention to any solo travelers that with HX, they have no solo supplement on many voyages that depart within 6 months, and that still has a good range on there. So if that is of interest, do contact us and we will contact them and look through the options, saving you a whole load of time. But we'll find those no single solo supplements for you. And also just worth mentioning an offer that is literally about to finish, but it is a really popular one. They have got a Arctic Norway program in 2026, which is a sort of expedition style Norwegian exploring cruise. Really interesting itinerary, and they are including flights from Heathrow or Manchester for free as part of that, in addition to savings as well. That does end on the 31st of July. So if you are thinking of Norwegian waters, I just thought it was worth advertising that as well, because free flights is something really tangible, but that does end soon. So those are the latest offers with HX. If you would like to have a look at any of those, do contact us in the team. I know that many of you have got contacts with our travel specialists. You can, of course, always start for them. If not, visit our website, polarroutes.co.uk. Our contact telephone numbers are on screen for those of you in the UK and US and Canada as well. That should read, apologies. Or email us at info@polarroutes.co.uk and we will get you in touch with one of our travel specialists and go from there. That is it from me. Thank you so much to everyone for watching. We will be back after the summer. Thank you again, Laali. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your presentation. We will be back after the summer. I think our next inspiration series will be in September. So do stay tuned for details of that. And we will also be introducing in October a practical webinar for anyone who is booked for our Antarctic season starting at the end of October. So do keep an eye out for that if you are booked or thinking of going to Antarctica. That's it from me and from Laali. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great night and we'll see you again soon. Take care.